Hey everyone, welcome to Wolf Paints Gaming Den. Today I have the review for Calico. Calico is a tile laying game for 1 to 4 players, designed by Kevin Russ and published by Flat Out Games and AEG. It's a nice tile drafting, tile laying game that plays quite fast. It can be treated as both as an abstract game or as a game with a really cute theme, especially if you're into cats. And it works equally well either ways. So we'll go to the table first. We'll have a quick look at how the game works. I'm not going to do a full run through of each and every single component of the rules. I have a separate teach video that I'll link down below, so you can go to that and refer to it if you want to learn how the game works completely. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about the things that I like about the game and I don't like about the game. So let's go to the table and start by looking at how the game works. Welcome to the table, everyone. Here we have the game already set up for a 2-player game. I will not go into the full description of the setup itself, but we'll quickly run through what a turn structure looks like and what you're really looking to do at the end of the game itself. In the game, you will always have a hand of 2 tiles. These are face down. As you can see, this is the pattern that it reveals on the other side. You will have a player board. On the edges, you have different colors and patterns already sort of like pre-printed on it. For the purposes of scoring, they will be considered a shape, not a shape, sorry, sort of like a design or a color of that type. So, you know, keep that in mind. It's very easy to lose track of those. And then, of course, you're putting down additional ones like so over the course of the game. So on your turn, the turn structure is very simple. You'll be doing basically 2 things. Firstly, you will take a tile from your hand. You will choose from the 2 that you have available to you. You will put it face up on any spot on the board, and you can go anywhere. There's no restriction to say that you must start off from adjacent to where you already had a tile. I could put down the first tile here, and then my second tile could be way on the other side of the board or in the middle of nowhere. It's perfectly legal. Once you put down a tile, you have 1 tile left in your hand. You will basically draw one from the face up pile of 3 that will always be available. And once, let's say for example, I put this down, and then let's say I've chosen to draw this one. There's a bag off to the side here. You will randomly draw another tile from the bag and put it face up, so that when the next player does their action, they will also have an option of 3 to choose from. The game will continue like so until we've all completed the inside area of our board. So everybody will get an equal number of turns. There is no different number of turns or anything of that sort in the game itself. Once the board is all completely filled up, you will then score, and scoring will basically work in a few different ways. You will score for these tiles that you have on your board. You will score for these different cats, and there's 3 that's always going to be available in the game itself. They can be chosen randomly, or they can be chosen based on the setup instructions in the rulebook. And then you will score for these buttons. The way that the buttons work are, you will get a button every time you have an area of 3 or more tiles of that color connected to one another on your board. As soon as you have that, you will basically put this face up, or whatever way you want, on one of those tiles, and that will tell you that you've scored for this. There are, as you can see, 6 different colors in the game, as well as different patterns. So every time you have 3 of an individual color, you will pick up one of these, put it down. Each one of these is worth 3 points at the end of the game. You can pick up multiple for the same color as long as they're separate bodies and not connected to one another. And for anybody who's collected all 6 of these different kind of tokens, you will get the rainbow token, and you can only have one of these in the game, and this will get you 3 points at the end of the game as well. So you have 6 different colors buttons that are worth 3 points each, and the rainbow button for collecting all that is also worth 3 points each. You will then score for these different tiles on your board. These obviously will have been pre-selected by you at the start of the game. And once you have these down, they will score for one of 2 different things. Potentially 2 of 2 different things. Here, as you can see, this will tell you the different points that you can score and the condition that has to be met. And usually the condition can be met both for color and or pattern. So if you meet the condition just for the color or the pattern, you will score the first number, which is the lower. Here it tells you that you will get 10 points, but if you meet the condition for both the color and the pattern, you will score the higher number in the yellow circle. So here that's 15 points. So as an example, in this style, what it says is wherever it's laid out, which is this particular spot here, all the hexes surrounding it must be of different color or different designs. And if you can achieve one of these two, you will get the 10 points. But if you do both different colors and different designs, it will net you 15 points at the end of the game. So these all work pretty much the same way. So this, for example, tells you that you must have, of the 6 hexes surrounding it, 3 of the same type and 3 of the same type. Again, they can be either just color or just pattern or both. And you will score accordingly. The last and third thing that you will score for are the cats. These are randomly selected or can be randomly selected at the start of the game. You will basically look at the conditions that the cats require. So over the course of the game, whenever you complete a certain number of tiles in a row of a particular pattern that a cat requires, you will take the token for the cat and you will put it on the tiles that you have in front of you. So in this particular case, you are scoring 9 points if you have anything that is of 6 tiles and more of any one of these patterns. Color in this case does not matter. It's an interesting bit of theme in the game where, I personally learned, and you may already know this, that cats are meant to be colorblind or are colorblind. So in this case, they don't really care about the color. They only care about the pattern. So if you can have 6 or more of either one of these 2 patterns connected in a row, forming one contiguous area, you will pick up one of these cat tokens, put it on that particular pattern, and you will score the 9 points at the end of the game. And of course, you can have multiple of the same cats as well, again, as long as they're separate bodies. Some of these cats will ask you not just for a certain number of them, but they may ask for a certain shape that has to be met as well. So over here, it tells you that you must have, again, one of these 2 different tiles, but it must be in this shape. And as far as shapes are concerned, they can be rotated, to meet the conditions over here, but they must form this particular type of body, generally, so to speak. So basically, add up the points from the buttons, these conditions, and these cat tiles, and whoever has the most points after that basically wins. All right, so those were the rules for Calico. Now, what do I think about the game? Before I run into sort of like my impressions of how the game plays and what I think about the turn flow and what I think works well and doesn't work well, let's quickly run through a couple of housekeeping items, starting off with production quality. And the version that you see here is the retail version. This is not, the game was on Kickstarter, but this is not the Kickstarter one. It is the retail edition, and I have to say that I'm really happy with the production quality that's in this box right here. It is a tile laying game, so it was absolutely crucial that the tiles be of good quality, and these absolutely are. These are thick. It feels like these will last a while with multiple playthroughs, so that's always sort of like a good thing to start off with right there. Aesthetically, I definitely like the aesthetics of the game. I'm not somebody who's a cat person per se. Not to say that I don't like cats, it's just, I've never actively sort of like, wanted to have a cat at my own house or anything of that sort. But I still like the game and the theme, rather, I should say, quite a bit. There's some couple of really nice touches onto it, such as the cat coming down and laying on the sort of like the kilt or the pattern that you're building, which is very cute. But the mechanics also tie in very nicely with the theme in the game. And so as I mentioned earlier in the rules walkthrough, I learned that cats were colorblind, by virtue of reading through the rule book. And then you find out the rules and how, you only have to put down certain patterns and you don't really care about the color you're putting down. It's a really nice touch mechanically, that's mechanically introduced into the game as well. So I really like that part of it. The only knock I would have as far as the production quality of the game is concerned is that some of these cat tokens look an awfully like one another. And I don't know if this is a problem more so with maybe perhaps me as somebody who's not spent a lot of time with cats than with the game itself, but I've often found myself, because right here, for example, we have one sort of like, 3 different cat tiles that are laid out here, but you have additional ones that come in the game as well. So, you have 3 right over there, you have more so here as well. And with some of these, I often find myself looking at the tiles, comparing one to another and figuring out, is this one or is this that one, and so on and so forth. So just something to be aware of. It's not a major thing, and perhaps if you do spend a lot more time around cats than I do, this might not be an issue for you at all, perhaps because maybe you're much better at telling the difference, perhaps, than I am. But I struggled with that a little bit. But again, it's just a minor thing that you have to sort of figure out once when you're playing the game, and then once it is set up, it's you go through it. It's you're not thinking about that a second time afterwards. Yeah, but generally, otherwise it works well. The drawback, this came with the retail version of the bag as well. It's not a Kickstarter thing. It's a nice drawback. I like the quality. I like the aesthetics. It's large enough for you to sort of reach in, drag the tiles out, and there's a lot of tiles in the game. So it's important that you have a large enough bag to accommodate that, and you do it this one. I like how colorful the game looks. It definitely pops when it's on the board. And regardless of whether you're somebody who's looking for an abstract tile laying game or something with a cat themed one, it works in both instances. If you don't like the cat theme, you can just treat it as an abstract game where you're matching colors and shapes, and it works perfectly well in that case. There's nothing that can be set against it. And again, but if you like the cat theme, that's just the the icing on the cake. It just makes it that much better for you, and you'll probably get more out of it in that sense. The rule book is also very well written and laid out. It is easy to just quickly read through and understand what you have to do and whatnot. There's a couple of variants that are laid out in the game, so give that a go if you're looking to have multiple plays of this. I will specifically call out the fact that if you are doing a two-player game, I would highly recommend you look at the two-player variant, because the variant really minimizes the randomness of the tile draws. So it's one that I would actually recommend by default. So I would almost say that all two-play games should have that. You should be doing that for all the two-play games you're playing. You also have some achievements that you can perhaps fill out with. I'm neutral on those, so I'm not going to be doing that myself. But if this is something that appeals to you, it is there in the box, so you can do that for what it's worth. So, with the production quality aside and the theme having been covered, what do I think about the game? And I will just be very short and upfront about it. I like the game, and I like the game quite a bit. And this is despite me not being a cat person. I'm usually okay with abstract games. I like them. I don't love them. I was never I never looked at games like Isle of Cats or the Cat Lady or even this one, and I said I never said, oh, I need to have a game with that theme on it. In fact, I don't have copies of Cat Lady, and I don't have a copy of the Isle of Cats. Although I've played the Cat Lady, and I know that is a well-regarded game. But all I'm trying to say is that it's not a theme I actively seek out. But having played the game, I wanted to have a copy of this for myself. I played it on Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia first before playing it the physical copy, and I like it on all fronts. It worked. The online implementation is good. Go check that out if that's something that's of interest to you. I'm not covering that as part of the review itself, but know that it is there. But the physical copy, it just works beautifully, and it works quite well regardless of the play count you're going with. Even if you're playing a 4-play game, turn orders still tend to be quite fast, and they will move around quite fast. But for me, I think I would probably enjoy the game at a slightly lower player count, simply because you're spending less time, watching others do their thing, and more time just doing stuff for yourself and thinking about what you want to do on your own turn. So that's just more fulfilling and satisfying. But it works equally well, regardless of whether you're doing a 2-player game or a 3-play game or a 4-play game. I don't think there are any balancing issues at all, because the rules work pretty much the same way. And especially if you use the 2-player variant that's listed in there, it takes care of some of the variability with the tile draws with 2 players as well. It's good. I mean, there's not much I can say beyond noting how the game doesn't really reinvent the wheel for anything. You're not doing anything that's particularly new or revolutionary, or there is no new mechanic. There's nothing net new in the game that's not been done before. But what is here just works smoothly and works well. So, I give it sort of like a very enthusiastic 2 thumbs up, basically, on this one. I don't know what else I can add to it other than to say, if the theme appeals to you, absolutely try it. If you like abstract games, absolutely try it. If you like tile-laying games, if you like making patterns and sort of doing all of that stuff, again, absolutely try it. It's only if you do not like those things that I would say maybe this game is not for you. But honestly, good gameplay transcends those kind of preferences. I mean, I'm not a cat person, and I still love this, and I still played it, and I enjoyed the cat theme on it. Shockingly enough. So there you go. That's it pretty much for Calico. My rating on this, after everything is said and done, I would rate this at a solid A minus. I love this game. The only thing that's keeping it from being sort of like an A or an A plus from me are a couple of things. First of all, for something to be an A plus, I mean, really, that is sort of like something that I'm saving up for. Games that I would say are perfect, comes along once every blue moon. So it's not quite that. It's very good, but it's not quite that. I only have a small handful of games that I would give that sort of a rating. And the only thing that's stopping it from getting up to a full A for me as well is just simply that I like games that are a little bit more heavier. And over here, there's not to say that there isn't enough thinkiness in this one. The thinkiness that you do have is just matching patterns and colors. And while I do enjoy it, sometimes it just feels like I'm burning my brain, perhaps for the sake of burning my brain, rather than because I'm solving an interesting puzzle. That's really the only criticism is a strong word. Only drawback that I would probably put against the game as well. That sometimes when I'm solving the puzzle, it feels like I'm doing it because I need to get 3 blues together, or I need to get that pattern together, or anything of that sort. It's not an intellectual puzzle, but it is a puzzle nonetheless. And once you solve it, it's quite satisfying. Once you have the full tile laid out in front of you, you'll definitely look at it with a sense of pride, going like, I made that. And what you might have made might just be garbage, or it might be very beautiful, or it might be beautiful but doesn't get you points, or it might be ugly but gets you a lot of points. Doesn't matter. You'll probably have fun in the journey. So that's my review for Calico. If you like tallying games, if you like cat themed games, give it a go. Recommended for me. Solid A minus. That's it for me from this one. If you have any thoughts, comments, please feel free to leave them down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.